I would like to discuss the solutions for the pre-check for the rectangular coordinate system with you. The first skill is to read points on a graph and identify the quadrants. So we are to identify each labeled point and indicate the quadrant where the point is located. Let's first recall this. Quadrants are labeled beginning in the upper right quadrant with quadrant 1, then rotating counterclockwise, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. Point A is located in quadrant 4. Its coordinates are, we move from the origin to the right 3 units and down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the coordinates are 3, negative 7. Point B is located in the first quadrant. Its coordinates is move right 4 units, up 5 units. So the ordered pair 4, 5 defines point B. Point C is in the second quadrant. We move left from the origin 5 units and up 3 units. So negative 5, 3. Point D is in quadrant 3. It is to the left 2 and down 6. So negative 2, negative 6. Point E is actually not in a quadrant. It lies on the y-axis. So from the origin, we don't move left or right. We just move up 4. So this is designated by the point 0, 4. And point F is on the x-axis. To get to point F, we move left 7 units and we don't move up or down, so that is the ordered pair negative 7, 0. So again, we had quadrant 4 for point A, quadrant 1 for point B, 2 for C, 3 for D, and on the y-axis for E and the x-axis for F. The next skill is to identify key points on a graph. For 7 and 8, we need to identify where the graph crosses the x and y axes. We'll learn these are called intercepts. For number 7, we have a line that is crossing the x-axis at this x value of 4 and the y-axis at a negative 2. So the corresponding ordered pair would be 4, 0, and then 0, negative 2. In number 8, we have a shape of a parabola, so it is crossing the x-axis in 2 different places at the point 3, 0 and at the point negative 1, 0. And it's crossing the y-axis at this y value of 3, which is the ordered pair 0, 3. Keep in mind where it crosses the x-axis is always going to be some number and then 0, and the y-axis will be 0, some number. And lastly, this is preparing you for when you actually have to algebraically find the intercepts. In skill 3, we want to solve the equations given that either x or y is 0. So for each equation, replace y with 0 and solve for x, then replace x with 0 and solve for y. Number 9 is y equals negative 1/2 x plus 4. When we replace y with 0, we get the equation 0 equals negative 1/2 x plus 4. We can multiply each side by 2 to eliminate the fraction, and that would give us 0 equals a negative x plus 8 Then adding x to each side gives us x equals 8. Now we replace x with 0 and solve for y. That would give us y equals negative 1/2 times 0 plus 4. But 1/2 times 0 is 0, so we simply get y equals 4. Number 10 is 2x minus 6y equals negative 12. Replacing y with 0, we get 2x minus 6 times 0 equals negative 12. But 6 times 0 is 0. That simplifies to 2x equals negative 12, or x is negative 6. When we replace x with 0, we get 2 times 0 minus 6y equals negative 12. 2 times 0 is 0, so this is negative 6y equals negative 12. And dividing by negative 6 gives us y is equal to 2. In number 11, when we replace y with 0, we get x squared minus x minus 6 equals 0. This is a quadratic equation that we solve by factoring. That factors as x minus 3 times x plus 2 equals 0. So x is equal to 3, or x equals negative 2. When we let x be 0, we get y equals 0 squared minus 0 minus 6, which simplifies to y equals negative 6. And for number 12, we replace y with 0, so this gives us x squared equals the opposite of 0 plus 16, which is just x squared equals 16. Applying the square root property, we get x equals plus or minus the square root of 16, which is plus or minus 4. Now when x is 0, we would get 0 squared equals negative y plus 16. 0 squared is simply 0. We add y to each side to get y equals 16.